I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's a filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at dsrit@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the Village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch. Okay, Celestial Will is the next song. So remember, we've got this, the way that they explain this. For this next section, Middle Earth and Ben have teamed up to give you 2 tracks from the brand new album, Nocturnal Will, which was released March 22nd, 2024. This album does something interesting, as it doesn't have a title track per se, but instead has split the album's title between 2 tracks, which we'll be listening to tonight. Okay, So the first is track 2, Nocturnal Fire, and the closing track, number 6, Celestial Will. So we're about to listen to Celestial Will together, and hopefully we can astral plane out of here through this music.
All right. Well, we've got our girl in some mid-age shit. Here we go. Celestial, let's do it. These guys are amazing.
Wow.
Unbelievable band. I have a new band. This band, I'm going to devote myself to. You watch, dear listener.
Well, that was so intense.
Hey, you watch and see if we don't tour with these people. If we don't play a show with this band. Watch.
Oh, well, that means it's happening.
What the boy say? Y'all got no idea about what's about to transpire.
Wow.
That's a bad quote. It's a lot of bad shit happening.
Uh,
Wolfheim in this bitch. What's up, Wolfheim? Good to see you. Merry Metal Day, baby. Okay, let's get right to it. Let's go.
okay. Whew. God. They have some really, really good stuff. Okay.
I love and I don't know if this is like to their style or whatever, but I love the extended playing at the end. They did this twice.
I do
they
too.
took the last minute and a half.
Yep.
Just enjoy the musicianship. I love that. I love that instinct in this band. This band is incredible, y'all. I'm telling you.
He says, I keep holding on to suffering and to the relics of the past. I've let them wither in ruins on this regretful path. As long as my wounds bleed, as long as my heart grieves, as long as I live this tragedy, time won't heal anything. So 100% true.
Well, we have it's so amazing that you're saying that, because you always disagree with me when I say that.
Time won't heal anything. Well, he's saying, I keep holding on to the suffering and to the relics of the past. I've let them wither in ruins on this regretful path. So to me, this is like, I mean, even what I said in the song, before about, like, this is the month that I lost the baby. And I didn't really actually realize that until we were in the middle of that review. But I just did know that this month I was having a harder time with it. I was having a harder time with the concept of, probably never having another child. And so I didn't realize the connection with that. But I was thinking after this stream got over, like, I was like, I need to take some time to process that, which I still think that I do. But like this song to me was like, there's a way to like look at it and like grieve about it and stuff. But then there's a way to like hold on and just suffer and keep suffering over it, which is not something that I let myself do for long periods of time because it can get too dark. But that's kind of what I think that we have and I think that's what he was saying. He's holding on to the suffering and the relics of the past. Then he says, as long as my wounds bleed, as long as my heart grieves, as long as I live this tragedy, time won't heal anything. Like, time doesn't heal us. We have to actively go after that healing. But I think, I really think, I'd like to hear from you. Oh, celestial death, reaping from the gray sky as you take my last breath. Hear out these desperate cries. Okay, first of all, when he said, take the weight of my burden and chain these to my limbs so I can drown in penitent grief and find solace at the bottom of the sea. Like, that was so friggin' relatable to when you're like, I'm just gonna let my grief take me. Because I can't speak for everybody, but there are certain things that like I'm like, that's it. And I make that decision that I'm like, I'm going down that road with this grief. I'm going to feel every bit of it, and I am going to let it drag me. That, like, the way that he described it, I don't think that he could have described it better than that.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably an allusion to what Jesus said as well. Mm-hmm. Anyone who causes one of these little ones to believe in me to stumble, it would be better for him to tie a millstone around his neck and be thrown into the bottom of the sea.
You will not survive that.
So, if you look at it, he says, where does he talk about that? Right there. Right there. Take the weight of my burden, which would be his sins. Chain these to my limbs so I can drown in penitent grief and find solace at the bottom of the sea. So that is an explication of that passage in Matthew where Jesus says, if you cause one of these little ones to stumble, tie a millstone around your neck. He says limbs, but whatever. So I can drown in penitent grief and find solace at the bottom of the sea. And that's what Jesus said. Like, get to the bottom of the sea, bro. It's over with. So, that's one of the reasons why I don't play around with anybody harming children. Mm-hmm. Because Jesus told me that their angels see the face of God every day.
Every day.
So I'm not going to let Riley's angels show up to the throne of heaven and say, you know, that Vin, he didn't love Riley the way that you wanted him to because Riley's annoying. I'm not going to have that discussion with God. I'm already going to have millions of other horrible discussions with God about shit that I cannot undo. So it's important to me that I don't keep adding to that. Like that's, you try your best to not do that. So, O celestial death, reaping from the gray skies, you take my last breath, hear our desperate cries. Now I know you want me to jump on this because we literally, I don't want. We've had discussions around this topic. Let's say it that way. So he says,
the reason I was saying I think you know you should talk on it is because you and I have different, like I said, like for me, like when I'm, you know, I was literally deciding before this song if I was going to let myself just go down that path with that grief over the baby. And I had decided before this song started that I was going to let myself, and I still don't know what I'm going to do, but when I heard this song, I was like, no, that's right. Like there's a way to grieve, and then there's a way to grieve that like it's destructive. And so I'm talking about myself. Like that's why I said I think you should talk because we're two different people, and I don't want to speak to your experiences, and I have not had the same experiences as you. But for myself, like I know that there's been times where I've engaged in grief in a way that it was destructive to me, where it was like, take the weight of my burden and chain these to my limbs so I can drown in the penitent grief and find solace at the bottom of the sea. Like that to me was like, that's real shit. Yeah.
So what are you asking?
And then at the end, like after he says that, he says, the length of time, the weight of suffering, the trophies of failure, the grief etched into my skin, the suffering of tomorrow. See, to me, like the grief etched into my skin, like that could have something to do with like, you know, harming yourself. Like sometimes you feel like there's so much pain that you want to do some self-harm, or people have done self-harm because they're in those situations, and it, you know, they want to see something physical, I guess, that like matches the internal unseen pain. Then he says, the haunting of the past, will death still bring me relief, even when it's by my own hand? So at the end, he's coming to, after that, like slipping into the grief in that way, like at the end, he's coming to the point of like wanting to unalive himself, and it like, will it bring him relief if he's the one that does it? It's that question, like, am I going to go to hell if I kill myself? Like, I think that's kind of what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this. I had a conversation with one of the most important people in the world to me. They were having a bad time, and they said something about unaliving themselves because they're in so much pain. I said, for real, I get it. I said, but how do you know that after you do that you're going to wake up in a better place than you were before? That's a hell of an oops. Right? That's a hell of an oops. So yeah, we had that conversation, man. Like, and if you listen to me, you listen to us, and we talk about religion, most of the time it's image of God. Image of God, original sin, and Jesus. I don't talk about hell a lot. I don't threaten people with hell. I don't really think it's an emphasis. I think it's been overemphasized, and it's also been the justification for a lot of horrible behavior, in my opinion. So I don't talk a lot about hell. What I do say about hell, though, is that the people of hell start making hell now. And that's what the term raise hell means. It's a person, hell is beneath us, but it's a person who opens up that vortex and portal and lets all those evil spirits in to torment the rest of us. And so when somebody does that, we say they're raising hell. Agree. But people who raise hell don't stop when they're kids. They don't stop when they're teenagers. They don't stop when they're adults. They don't stop when they're octogenarians, and they will not stop after they're dead. The one of the most horrifying things about reprobation or hell in my mind is the idea that I would be locked into a sinful pattern with no hope whatsoever of being able to get out of it. But the guarantee that it's going to get worse in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like, we like to play around but all of us have these questions deep down. I was looking at Vaughn's diary, and his cousin.
Are you serious?
His cousin posted his diary and then deleted it because in one of his entries, he was complaining about how nobody cares about him, and at night he has to deal with all the niggas he done killed.
No.
Of course!
Wow.
You see that boy?
Oh, I'm sure that he
You see
did.
that boy when they shot his friend in the knee? He's like, oh, you want me to pull up? He was a millionaire when he was doing that. And he was gonna do it. So that's how the guy was, man. Like he couldn't deal with that hurt. He couldn't deal with that pain. And so the only way he, we talked about this, like the only way he could solve it was to drill it out. Like literally, like dudes are depressed. I'm just gonna kill. We're gonna kill somebody. Like literally, like that's how the shit went. So as long as my wounds bleed and as long as my heart grieves, as long as I live this tragedy, time won't heal anything. Yeah, man. Like time doesn't. I don't know if it's an argument or whatever that we've had, but I'm surprised that you said that about, because I'm usually one saying that
Time doesn't heal?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I agree with you on that. I used to think, like time, like over time, like things will work themselves out. But then I realized that if you don't actively work them out, it's so weird. Like in my head, like I picture like stuff gets bunched up and it just keeps bunching, like, and you have to work it back out and you have to stretch it back out. But it's a painful process, and time is just going to keep it going. And I think also like there are negative things like fear, for instance. And when I see like what fear does to us and how fear, it's never satisfied and it's always taking more ground in your life, and it will isolate you from the people you love. It'll isolate you from the things that you love. And you have to, I also see it because of our kids, like that's a conversation that, as they're growing and as they're going out and they're doing different things, like we have those conversations about, I can see like people are feeling whatever. And like one of our kids who's, I would say probably the one that's on the shyer side, had some stretching that happened recently, like, and I could see that like fear wanted to kind of like encroach. And then she's like, Mom, I was in this situation and there was all these people there, and like, she wants to build more friendships and stuff. And when she was around the people, like it seems like everybody knows each other. And she was like, I don't know. She's like, I just went up and just started talking to somebody, and then invited other people over that kind of looked uncomfortable. And so it like changed. And I was surprised because I hadn't really seen that side of her. And like, but she had to overcome some fear to be able to get to that point and to be able to start building those friendships and those relationships. And then it made her more bold in the next situation. So it's almost like the decisions that we make, like time isn't going to change that. Like if you keep making decisions based off fear, you're going to be continually brought more into a deeper box. So I don't think that time heals everything anymore. I think that if you leave something unhealed, it's going to fester and it's going to rot.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is time makes wounds worse.
Yeah.
Like disinfectant heals wounds. Surgery heals wounds. Time does no such thing.
And cauterizing sometimes.
If you leave an open wound to time, you're going to end up with an amputated individual. Okay? That's what that does. Mm-hmm. Guys, I know we're a little bit chippy.
Should I shut this one down?
No, it's not to do it. It's not to do it. I know it's chippy. It's working out the bit rate. We've been at this thing for 5 hours. My computer's probably like, dude, give me a breather.
I know it's.
But as long as that thing is moving, we're in good shape. There is good shape.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me. I'm a big time doesn't heal anything. You have to be intentional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to be intentional about your recovery. Mm-hmm. And sitting back and saying time is going to heal it will not do it. Time becomes permanent.
That's actually going to do you in if you tell yourself that time is going to heal it, because that means you're relying on something else to fix the problem other than actively fixing it yourself.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not saying that time won't do it. I'm saying if you deal with the root cause issues first, and you're going in that trajectory, then obviously time becomes your ally then, because now you've got more and more time to practice it to get out. But if you don't start with the self-ownership and the responsibility first, but you start with what you're incapable of changing, then you're going to guarantee that you're stuck in it for the rest of your life.
Neil, this is kind of funny because I'm not sure if you're being serious, but you might be. He says, I would say it depends on the severity of the wound. This is a conversation that we have with our kids. Like, time, again, doesn't heal your wounds. God heals your wounds. Even in the physical sense, God set up the body to do certain things so the blood cells go, and who's
Platelets,
telling it to do that?
Platelets, all that good jazz.
Yeah. So your body is set up to do the things that God commanded it to do, and that's why your body will self-heal if the wound is small enough. That's one of the lessons that that I started teaching my little ones, because I realized that, this is the perfect opportunity. And you see them, kids get injured, they're going to run around, they're going to crash about, and then they'll tell me, like, look, God's healing this, like, every day as you see it, like, going more and more. So time will literally not heal you, but God will heal you. And again, like, you got to go to the Father.
The length of time, the weight of suffering, the trophies of failure, the grief etched into my skin, the suffering of tomorrow, the haunting of the past. Well, whew. Another 10 for me. These guys are
9.8 on this one.
These guys are insane. This is just a crazy band. I love the melody. I love everything about this band. Figures it had to be middle. Coming with the goodness. All right, guys, we got
and Ben.
We got one more song left.
All right.